Hello, my name is Jesse Edelman. I am a systems engineer. I have an interest in open source projects, and I also have an interest in note taking, capturing information that I might find useful or uh, may find necessary for me later. So note taking also it's can be a good practice for helping you to learn new things. And I'm always looking for new ways uh, to capture my thoughts, capture my to-dos, capture things I want to accomplish. Um, but also there's but also I like to do things like take notes on conversations, jot down random thoughts. Um, but also I like to work on take my random thoughts and easily create more formal documents on concepts for projects I'm working on for myself and for clients and customers and employers. And of course, there's a whole universe of different approaches to doing note taking, which includes, good old, pen and paper, um, which is a fine, like, and there's many techniques within each medium for how to take notes, and of course, it also matters for the inclinations of the author. So I've been it has some negative connotations to it, but I like to take the positive aspects of it. I've been a hacker with computers for a long time, and there's the terminal environment, which date back to some of the earliest user interfaces for computers, is one that I appreciate the utility of. And while what are considered graphical user interfaces can be very compelling given the right designers behind them, so can a terminal user interface be compelling. Again, depending on the design of the user interface. So I like to think of user interfaces not just like, oh, it's when you talk about user interfaces, it's just graphical interfaces. It's any interface to a computer, even when you're, for example, or to machinery, right? An interface to machinery. Um, if you're if you're crossing a street, you may press a button to signal to the traffic lights that you want a walk sign. That's a user interface. You're a user of that device, and a lot of thought, psychology, a lot of different fields of study went into traffic management, went into um, that device. And so the terminal is just one other user interface. Uh, it happens to be usually in front of digital computers, um, but it's just one interface of many possible user interfaces and user interface paradigms. So I found something that I really like. It's an open source tool, and it's called NB. And NB is a uh, uh, is a command line and local web note-taking, bookmarking, archiving, and knowledge base application. It has a lot of features. I'll read through some of them here. You've got plain text storage. That's the obvious one. It has the capabilities for encryption, for filtering, pinning, tagging, and search, which once you start to actually accumulate a significant body of notes and to-dos um, and bookmarks, etc., search becomes much more important. And tagging is a very useful way to create a taxonomy out of your notes. It's Git backed, so it has version control, and it's especially nice if you actually have some familiarity with version control systems for software. Git is a particularly prevalent one behind GitHub, GitLab, etc. Invented by Linus Torvalds, the lead developer of the Linux kernel. And if you already know the tool set within Git, then it's a very nice way to interact with the administration of your notebooks. Pandoc-based conversion. So Pandoc is a tool that is called the Universal Document Converter. This matrix over here, this very complex diagram shows the kind of, basically, I'm not going to zoom into this, but the inputs that you can give to Pandoc and the outputs that you can get from Pandoc for converting documents. It's a super powerful open source document conversion program, and this has more function than a Swiss Army knife. It's just got a ton, and you can see here, this is just a surface level of all of the capabilities that Pandoc has. And I'll just say that I've used Pandoc in a lot of scenarios, and I most recently used it to convert markdown documents generated with or stored in NB, and use those to create summary notes that I gave to my clients. And it looks great. Like, it makes a very nice PDF out of Markdown, and very nicely formatted. It has links that are active. I haven't tried it, but I think it would also handle images, but I do have to verify that. Yeah, it's really, really capable. And NB will handle that conversion for you with a simple command. It has wiki style linking. So that's like, if you're familiar with Wikipedia, you'll be able to, you'll be immediately familiar with the kind of syntax that you see for creating links, including, links within notebooks. So you can start to create hyperlinks between notebooks that you've created in NB. We'll get into notebooks in a little bit. So one of the nice things about, one of the efficiencies of working with a well-designed terminal-oriented product or project or software is that it can use the best of the consensus among engineers, computer engineers, software engineers, computer administrators, people who are in the community. It can build on what has been sort of discovered among in common use among people who rely on the ecosystem every day. And WikiLinks are one of those things. So let's go back to the list. You could even have web browsing within it. Excuse me, I'm sorry. You can actually browse. It actually can have a web server that you can actually dive into your notebooks, and it's pretty nice. Hopefully we'll dive into that a bit. And you have inline images, to-dos with tasks, global and local notebooks, and that's more about, like, you can NB by default has a global notebook for your user, your account, but you can also have per directory notebooks. You can have folders within the notebooks, customizable color themes and plugins, and it's in one single bash script. And it can work in a variety of formats. And if you don't like Markdown, you can use ASCII doc. I haven't worked with org yet. LaTeX, LaTeX, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, LaTeX. I read too much and speak too little. It has some sensible defaults, but you can change the defaults for the format of your notebooks, but also you can change the the editor based on what you've set as your default editor in your terminal. It works in any environment, so Mac OS, Windows, via WSL, Cygwin. Of course, it works under and pretty much any Linux, and it has some dependencies that are optional. And yeah, so it has. This is an interesting one. I haven't played with this one too much. It has an Internet Archive Wayback Machine snapshot lookup for broken links. So I'm not sure how that works exactly, but I'm thinking that it probably is, we'll see if I'm right. It probably allows you to, when pages are deleted on the internet, it will allow you to make a reference to the Wayback Machine so that you don't have 404s to show your viewers. Now, I wonder if that would work for exported documents, but we'll see. More about the searching here. It has all kinds of, and the bookmarking system is integrated with a lot of other features of NB, including the tagging system. So it's really neat. There's probably, I could probably hear from now, like, does this work on Teams or collaboratively? That's probably where at this stage NB is not it's not focused for like a team-based notebook. Although I'm sure you can do it. If it's in Git, you can check out changes, and you can make pull and push requests, pull requests and push changes. But it so far there hasn't been a lot of work that I've seen, that I've noticed. I could be wrong. That has been put towards making it more amenable to collaboration through NB. But honestly, I'm not sure that every piece of software has to be a team-oriented piece of software. If this is your personal notebook, then that's good enough. You can even use it, and you can certainly take documents that you've created within NB and put them into another system. You can export them. So if you want to use NB for your personal notes, and then you take what you start in your personal notes and then create more formal documents that you share with your team, there's nothing to stop you. Let's go back to me. So I'm going to talk about a little, and do just a very, very surface level demo of NB. I want to put a caveat. I've already installed it. I've already installed tab completions for NB. I'm only going to take a subset, just like a hello world style approach at NB today. Later I may dive into things, especially if people ask me to do a deeper dive into different features. The most important thing that you understand is that NB is really just a single bash script. So if you have a shell somewhere, which even if you have a Mac, you do. If you have Windows with WSL, you do. If you have Linux, you do. You have many different ways to open up a bash shell and play around with it. And then if you don't like it, just get rid of it. There's no reason to, that you have to use it. But I just feel like it's always worthwhile to play around with something, even if you don't like it. You may learn something, and you may learn something about what you like, and that will inform your choices. So why not? All right, so let's go to, let's bring up our terminal, and let's see. Let's just start exploring. So let me get to my terminal here. So here's NB. So if I type NB, this is a document I created a long time ago. It's in my global notebook. We're not going to be working with a global notebook right now. I just want to show you the help real quick. So you do have local help. It has obviously some of the descriptions that were available on NB's homepage. But you can see here, it's a wide range of of commands and arguments that can be used to get your note-taking and bookmarking and editing done. And yeah, so it has commands for managing notebooks, so you can create local notebooks. I also want to be frank, like I have not memorized all of this, far from it, and I'm still exploring NB, and so you may see me make some goofs, which is fine. But it's the more I dive into it, the more intriguing it is. The more intriguing it is. And I will say too, I think it's pretty much like one main developer today. They are very nice, very friendly, very open to ideas, very very engaging. So which is it's one of the amazing things about the potential of open source communities is that you have a much more human interaction with the programmers who put together the software you write. And of course, you can help write the software yourself, either directly through writing code or submitting extra documentation, or improving documentation, or even just doing things like managing the influx of issues, all kinds of ways that you can help and you can collaborate. So we have a whole bunch more commands. So we see all this. So William Melody is the primary developer and creator of NB. So, and I'll put the links in the description of the video when I upload it. Okay. All right. So that's the global notebook. I'm going to show, though, I want to start a new notebook, and I want to make a new directory. So I'm going to make a new directory. Let's say client notes, cd client notes. Okay, so what I want to do here is, let's say I have a bunch of clients. Let's say we have that scenario. I have a bunch of clients, and they all need to have their own notebooks. Maybe I don't want to have accidents happen where I have notes for one client accidentally get mixed with other clients. This is just a demonstration, but just in the interest of keeping it simple, we'll have one notebook per client. So let's create a notebook. So the first thing we need to do is I think we need to init. I'm just going to do the help because this is just show you how I'm doing things. So if I do init, that will initialize the initial home notebook, and that's actually not what I want to do. I want to actually want to create a new notebook. So let's do a help, and don't want to add a new notebook. So I'm going to look through yeah, NB notebooks init. I think that's what I want. So let's do NB notebooks init, and let's put in what would be a good name? So let's say Chris Smith. Okay, so we've got a local notebook, Chris Smith. So let's go ahead and go into Chris Smith, and we should see I have a shell that recognizes when your directory is a Git repo, and so we see that we have Git main. And just to show you, here's what happens. So I'll see Git log. So we see here we did an initialize, and we did an initialize in this directory. There's nothing going to be in here right now, but we can see there's nothing visible there. There are some dot files, but I don't want to confuse you right now about that. So let's go nb add, and let's see what happens. Hey, what happened here? It opened up my preferred editor, Vim. And it, as you see here, it created a file that's basically a date and timestamp .md, and md is the typical prefix, typical postfix used for markdown documents. So I can start to make some documents here. So let's say client call notes, and say like had a chat with Chris and his team, found a lot of bugs and issues, and noticed they have very good taste in pizza. And we can let's make it like, we can make it a little more complicated note. So we'll say like issue 1, issue 2, issue 3, and let's see, we could make let's make a quick link. We could say found out a little about the issue on Linux Weekly News, and we'll make that into a wiki link. Let's put that extra slash in there. Okay. And let's get rid of that slash. Okay. And we're going to ignore the rest of these. I just, that's just for an example. Okay. So, I wrote the file, and now I'm going to quit. And let's see what happens. Okay. So NB added an entry, client call notes. It actually took the title from the topmost header that I put in the file. So that's nice. If I do an NB list, I see client call notes. Now I'm going to show one quick thing. You can, just to show off the that you can see the browser. Okay, so this is the text browser. That's what it does first. You can, and it's a browser. So let's put in client. Let's say, not used to this. I usually don't do this search. So let's say Chris. Look, it found. This is obviously not so sophisticated. I only have one entry in here, but it found it. And once I go into this, I can actually view it. And you can see it has some breadcrumbs, kind of like a web browser, where you can browse through different notes. It would make more sense if I had more notes, but this is just a hello world kind of thing. Okay, so I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to exit W3M. So I want to also see, okay, so what if I want to see this in a graphical user interface browser? I can see that there's an option, GUI. So you do this a lot, like NB help, like don't be shy to look at the help. The help is very well written. So I'm going to do -G for GUI, and let's do NB browse -G. Okay, so now I'm going to open up in the browser I'm using for this call, and you can see, I'm going to actually, sorry, I have to go back over to the browser. Let's see. So this is what opens. So, and you'll see it's a similar interface to what we saw in the terminal. So we can say local 1 client call notes, and there we go. We have local client call notes, and the link worked. So there's Linux Weekly News, and we can see, from our notes, we have a nicely formatted markdown document that's previewable in the browser. So this is also kind of nice, right? If you're actually working on documents that are going to be markdown documents somewhere else, you know that you can basically do a copy paste and take those documents and publish them directly into another Markdown document, because it basically uses GitHub flavored Markdown, I believe. But it definitely uses Common Mark, which is that's the lowest I think that's the lowest common denominator Markdown specification. Please correct me if that's wrong. But that can be very useful. So you can work on drafts and have a easy way and a quiet way to write your notes that may actually end up becoming project documentation. Okay, so you can also edit within the browser, so you can see that too. Like this is very full featured, very full featured. I don't want to edit that right now, but you can save it. And then I'm going to go back to NB. So you can also browse different notebooks. So this is the local notebook in this one. So you can click around, and you can even, I think, will this will add a new, so you could do this in the browser as well. So you could add, new client notes. You could say, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, bring the project up in the Pythonistas meetup. I don't know. I'm just making up random stuff. Add that, and lo and behold, we have now we have two notes, and we can go back. Let me just transition back to the terminal, and I'm going to exit the the server, the little server that's created when you do the browser. And we can say NB list, and we can see those same notes are there. So really nice. And yeah, let's see. So next thing we can do is we can also do an export. Let's export the first one, export 1. And actually, I'm going to need to do a help here. Whoop. That's not what I want to do. Okay, so if I want to export, the default is to pandoc. So here's an example. Export. Okay, so I want to export 1, and then I'm going to actually export it to PDF. So, and what you'll notice is that it's smart enough to know by the postfix, the extension on the file, what kind of file you want. So let's do this. Let's do NB export 1 client note 01.pdf. Let's see. Okay, and I'm going to do an XTG open. This is going to work. Let's see, client. And I'm going to have to, let's see. I'm going to actually open this in the browser. Okay, so I think just to make sure that everybody can see it, there it is in the browser. So that's the PDF. And we can, let's do it page width. So you see, hey, and it's even got a link. As you can see, this link works in this PDF. Formatting's not, I mean, it's not great. And there's definitely things you can do to help make things look better, change the margins, that kind of stuff with Markdown. But there you go. So really, really powerful stuff in NB. And I think that's pretty much, well, there's one more thing. Let me just check on the time here. One more thing to check on, which is there is the to-do feature. And let's explore that one a little bit. So NB help. Let's look up where the to-do stuff is. And to do add. So let's try that. So you see there's a bunch of commands here. You've got add, do, undo, and you've got to-dos plural. You've got tasks. You've got NB tasks. Honestly, I'm not yet certain about the difference between tasks and to-dos, but maybe we'll dive into that in a later video. And but let's see if we type. Oh, and I should say this: we've got. So we made a few changes here. So let's do a git status. Okay, so it doesn't add the PDF. This is because it's exported. But we can look at the git log, and we can see all of these events happen to this particular notebook. You know, one frac to the initialize, then we added a entry, we added a note, then we edited a note, then we created another note. And it doesn't really matter that I created this in the browser or that I created this in the terminal. It doesn't matter from a Git's perspective. If you want to, I think it's P will show you the changes. So I'll see like, hey, look at these. These are the changes for each of them. This one just, removed a blank space. So, it's all the power of Git comes for free with NB. And the other thing you can do, I won't do that in this one, but you can certainly add, there's no remotes right now, but you can add a Git remote so your notebook can be saved in a Git hosting provider, like GitHub, GitLab, Codeberg, blah, blah, blah. You can, have a remote. Of course, I'd recommend that you have it private unless you have a reason to have a public notebook. I suppose you could use this as kind of a blog, but it'd be kind of an inconvenient blog. But hey, maybe people are doing it. Maybe there's a better pattern that I'm not thinking of that would be amenable to creating a well-maintained blog. So I would probably recommend that having it be a private repository. But you can do it. And then you can have, if your laptop catches fire, your desktop catches fire, you have Git as one of your backups for your notes. Okay, so on to to-dos. Let's do a to-do add. Let's see what happens. Oh, how did I mess up? Let's see. Let's see how I messed up. To do add. Ah, that's right. I have to just make a title. So I can do NB to do bring dog to vet. Why not? Sorry, let's do this. Bring dog to vet. Bring cat to vet. And then we can do to-do list. Look, we've got to-dos. And then there's a bunch of other commands that you can do with to-dos. So to-dos. So this I didn't show this earlier. You can do command completions on this. It's a little bit painful with all the references to the local, to the basically the URL to different notebooks. But it does include the commands as well. So you can have a shell completion help you do things a little faster as you're working with NB. But let's say, let's do another help. Let's see, we could do an undo. Let's do an undo. So to do undo. You have to specify the, let's do that. Undo 2. Let's do a list. NB to do undo 5. And let's see, I haven't tried this. Can we do a redo? Yes, we can. Look at that. That's pretty slick. So NB, so it's a full undo, redo interface. So let's take a look at the other commands that we can do with to-dos. So we have to-do and to-dos. So you can, and with tasks, you can have open and close tasks. You can actually add a description for the to-do. You can have a due date for the to-do. We didn't do that. You can have tags. So I haven't explored tagging. I probably won't do that in this video. We can, if anybody wants to. I'm happy to dive into anything that NB can do. You can add this to-do to a task list. So adding it to a task list makes that to-do part of a project. Or, and that, that opens up possibilities for helping you to organize your life. So, and let's mark one done. Let's say we took the cat to the vet. So NB to do, sorry, I actually have to look up the, okay. NB to do, let's say we took the cat to the vet, 5. Okay, it's done. Puts a check mark on it. NB list to do. Sorry, let's do to do list. Look, it has it now. It has a check mark. It's been X'd out, and I'm sure that there's a way to you purge your to dos once they're done, or you can have different views. Let's see, to do list. Let's see what help we get here. Let's say we want to have NB list. There are a way to list ones that are not type document, type example list. Is there a one to list completed to-dos? No. Well, I'm sure there's some way. The to-do list done. So oh, look at that. It's smart. Is it going to be undone? Wow. Look at that. That's pretty nice. So, and I just want to make sure, like, am I showing my terminal? Okay. Yeah. I think that's probably all I want to cover today with NB, but I'll put the link to NB in the notes for the video when I publish it. And hey, thanks for watching. See you next time. I should do this. First, let's do, let's say a proper goodbye. So, thanks for watching. Ciao for now.